evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Strawberry Motiony, the events producer for the Maine Trust for Local News. We are so excited for this conversation to round out our ADU Expo for the day. So hopefully you were able to visit our huge vendor hall on the first and second floors. But now we're going to turn things over to Executive Editor Carolyn Fox. So our guests tonight are the Maine Cabin Masters. I'm sure you guys are all very excited to see them. So the Maine Cabin Masters attempt to save some of the most historic properties in Maine. Chase Morrill, Ashley Morrill, Ryan Eldridge, and Matt Dix are here tonight. Jedi is at a charity golf tournament, so he was not able to join us. Our host tonight is Carolyn Fox, the executive editor for the Maine Trust for Local News, which publishes the Portland Press Herald, the Sun Journal, the Morning Sentinel, and the Kennebec Journal. Please welcome to the stage, Carolyn, Chase, Ashley, Ryan, and Matt.
I've just been sitting so close to them. Now I feel very far away. Thank you all for being here. I'm so excited to get to chat with these guys. It's been wonderful to see everyone's interactions with them before we got started. We did want to acknowledge a very sad and serious event that happened in Maine today in Searsmont, the Robbins Lumber fire. These guys have worked with them before. I'll let them say a little something as well. But we are news is still pouring in, at least on the Press Herald, on pressherald.com. And we did just confirm that unfortunately one firefighter has passed. And we don't know much about the others, but there are multiple people injured, including many that have been transferred over here to Portland to the burn unit. What I do think is amazing and a testament to Maine is that over 24 local firefighter departments showed up to help tackle this fire, which I think is pretty amazing. And again, a testament to the state we're in. So just wanted to, let you guys chat a little about your experience with Robbins Lumber and anything else you wanted to add on that subject.
I'm wearing my Robbins Lumber t-shirt tonight. It's a great company, great family. And, our thoughts and prayers are with the employees, the family, everybody. It's pretty tragic.
Yeah, very scary. Anything else? No?
The first house I had owned was basically right around the corner in Searsmont from the Robbins mill. Alden and his family is, it's a multi-generational owned family business, and it's very tragic and sad to hear their loss.
Great.
And on every job site, when you see a Robbins lumber tarp, you get excited because it is the best Eastern white pine there is. So
much trouble.
Sorry, Hammond Lumber, but
we won't quote you on.
Anyways, yeah, we've also worked with them, Alden and his family for with Nelma, and we know that they'll build back stronger, and we'll be here for them. So
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you guys. On to the yeah. So the first question is, what is it like to own and operate a construction company in Maine in 2026?
Chase?
Fun and exciting?
Yeah, I thought we were just keeping it light and easy.
No, I'm starting with the tough ones first.
No. It's a challenge. Every day is different. Luckily, we've got a great team working with us, and we've got, not just us, but the carpenters, the subcontractors, our lumber sales operators, you name it. There's so much to keep track of. And, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But again, we've got a great team that keeps it moving along. And, then you throw a TV show on top of that and it just triples, quadruples the chaos. But, I think we've done a great job of kind of navigating through it, constantly getting new surprises, stuff we didn't even know about that, we got to try and make sure we stay on top of stuff. So it's definitely challenging.
Yeah.
It's like Chase said, building a team. We're surrounded by many talented people that have their strengths are the strengths that we don't have. You know, there's so many talented people in Maine. And the biggest struggle though probably is the labor pool and, you know, and getting people. So we've been really trying to get young kids working with trade schools and stuff. So
That's great. I'll let you answer too, Ashley, but a reader actually asked what you guys are doing to promote the trades in Maine. So,
Wait.
Vince.
We need to just change the environment here. We need to make it lighter and have a fun time tonight. I feel like everyone's so serious. Let's go. You too. Like we love our job and it's awesome. Yeah, it's a job, but it's still.
We
All
can
right.
see what Ashley brings to the table.
Anyway.
but
Time.
Okay,
we've been doing a lot for the trades.
what's that? Say it one more time.
We've been doing a lot for the trades. And just in the past year, we got a couple of kids from the CTE program at Coney High School. This kid Evan, you guys, he made episodes last year. It was awesome, and he did skills competition like a month ago. And Chase went, and he did really well. And you know, we're working that. We go to schools and try to promote that as well. So I
That's
think
great.
that's where the future is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, yeah.
What's the skills competition?
It was where, so
She's just gonna do my job for me tonight.
No, I'm actually serious.
So it's the Augusta area vocational program, and we've got a few kids from the carpentry program, and you know they take their skills, they get together, they have to build a small structure. And Eben came in first place. He went to the regionals up in Orono, and he's working with us this summer. Got another kid, Tristan, who's a junior. He's coming in working with us. So it's great getting these young kids involved. My son Fletcher's finally old enough where I can force him to come to work. I mean, he's always been on the job site. That's true. That's true. But now he can come with us, and it's great getting these young kids involved. These are skills that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. Even if they aren't swinging a hammer, they can always go back to it, pick up a hammer, and be comfortable.
Yeah, it was great to see some of the kids in the audience tonight. So shout out to the kid
Yeah, we
fans.
love the mini masters, as we call them.
What do you think is the appeal of Maine to the wider television audience? Like what?
The beauty of Maine, and I think when you see us, like we always say the one big thing about the show that makes it so successful is that the production crew gets us. They get our job site humor, they get our relationships, and they get how beautiful our state is.
Yeah, to capitalize on all of it. So for anyone looking to buy a camp or land for a camp, what should people look out for?
Should have done it a long time ago. Right.
She's on fire.
That's not light and fun. That's not a light and fun answer, actually.
No, I mean, Maine, driving down here today, you see the new license plates and they still say vacation land. Maine's always been vacation land, and there's so many different areas of Maine. My one piece of advice that I'll always give to people visiting the state saying, hey, I'm looking for a piece. I say, do your research and just be ready to buy it, because their properties are still going fast. They're still desirable. They're not making any new land. So, have everything in line so that when you see the place, you fall in love, you're ready to go right away.
It's great advice. Ashley, one of my favorite parts of the show is all the creative additions you make. And I was just wondering, how do you find the artists that you work with, and what inspires you when you're making those choices?
Well, there's not a shortage of artists and craftsmen in the state. And so it's kind of like working at a cabin, like finding what their style, what they're looking for, and then going and finding somebody that kind of like fits that, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Like just recently, the women that we were, I know, but they don't know who Picard is. Picard. They were looking for a bed and, just made out of logs. And so we just went online to Marketplace and found this guy. I'm not even going to tell you guys because you're going to steal him. He brought down and delivered this amazing bed, and it just fit their style and aesthetic perfectly. So that's the fun for me, is like finding these artists and craftsmen and like placing them perfectly with the cabins if we don't have something on our own that we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. How would you guys have say like the trends have changed for what people are asking for? What are people asking for now, and what have they stopped asking for in terms of sort of the style or?
Dog wash stations.
Stay
You guys are
tuned.
giving away too much.
Season after the season.
I
Do
think
season 12, not season 13.
I think we get a lot of requests to make, they're like, can you make our camp 4 seasons? And when I hear that, I say, are you sure? 4 seasons to me is having it ready to go in the middle of January, February, which means you have to have it well insulated, you have to have power, you have to be able to keep heat going, and you have to be able to access the camp if something goes wrong. And a lot of these camps, when they say 4 seasons, they mean, being able to come up in the winter for maybe a week, or, just stay in the place, get a fire going and actually be warm, not freeze to death. And the shoulder seasons have a little bit longer. So to me, it seems like a lot more people are now looking to make their camps 4 seasons, or at least asking for it. And we try and figure out, okay, is that really going to work for them before we just dive right into it.
Yeah.
I have another question. Would that make it a second home? Okay.
Anyone want to add any other trends besides dog washing stations and 4 seasons?
A lot of people ask for outdoor showers, and unfortunately, they're not legal unless it has to drain it back into your gray water system and stuff. That's a big one.
Yeah.
But mainly, they just want us to save, what's there. A lot of cabins that we really love doing the old cabins, where the family's got a lot of history and a small budget, and we just bring that back to life because you're saving memories. They sat on that porch with grandfather. They had lobster dinners with someone over here. So a lot of times, just trying to save those memories and just getting it back to a point where it'll last a little bit longer.
A lot of them are just bringing things into updating stuff. Fresh coat of paint, new kitchen, maybe a new toilet, new shower. It's just bringing things up to date.
Yeah. This is a question from my husband who could not be here tonight. What's the weirdest thing you've found when you've done demo? And I would like all of you to answer it individually.
I mean, love letters to the Maine State Prison, right?
That was right down the road in front of us.
We can't say their nickname, can we?
No.
I
Colby
remember we did
College.
one sporks. We did one camp.
The whole entire basement was just mounds of sporks, wooden sporks,
They worked at a sport factory, didn't they?
like mound.
Yeah, it was a ice house. It was the one that was on the Escargo. That was the name of the.
It wasn't a snail.
But yeah, we got into the basement and there were hundreds of thousands of sporks, wooden sporks that they must have,
He must have got a Martin's at a good deal.
right?
Like eat, and then they threw him downstairs.
No, ready to eat. Like they were still in the boxes. It was just,
Oh, okay.
it was a bizarre one.
They weren't used sports.
They weren't used. They were not.
They were still like littered all over like the floor and stuff.
No. Was it the
He still has some.
I do not. I do not. The camp up above Sugarloaf, the Camp Lucky 7. I peeled into that one and there was
A dead cat.
a dead, must have been a Fisher cat or something. I peeled off this beam and it was like it was like it had just
Like someone
curled
placed
up.
it there.
Like mummified.
Yep, curled up and just went to sleep in the middle of winter and it was just staring right at me and that gave me a good scare, that one.
Lots of raccoon droppings, animal droppings.
Porcupine dropping.
Yeah, I think for me, some of the funniest stuff we find is how the camps were built. We start pulling into some of these camps and they literally shouldn't still be standing. We did one and it was framed up with 2x4s, super low pitched roof, 4 foot on center. And it was
How
still
many
standing.
people know what 4 foot on center means? Raise your hand.
Yeah, see?
Look
Look
Wow.
at that.
Exactly.
What a great.
You guys are the
Do they watch
best.
the show?
Do you know Ashley? I'll explain it later.
You see stuff like that. We did a camp on Cobbessy where all of the wall sheathing was closed in with road signs. And then come to find out, they were coming up from Massachusetts when the turnpike was finishing up. And there were all the road signs, you know, from construction, and they would just throw them in the back of the station wagon, bring them up to the camp, and sheathe
That's
everything.
Spain ingenuity by a Massachusetts person.
It was all 3/4 inch plywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another good one. I remember in Bremen, family would camp and they'd make notes, and you could tell when it was Friday afternoon because they'd write on this camp where they were working, and the quality of craftsmanship there was not as good, and the notes were not as PC.
What has been the toughest places you've worked? Toughest places to do camps?
Yeah, the A-frame on Moosehead.
Well, it depends which direction you want to go. So for us, we have to be able to we do in the summertime, 16 cabins a season. And so at times we have 4 going at once. And then, you know, we go from finishing up 4 to starting 4 more, 5 more. So we could have upwards of 10 camps all going at once. So we need to be able to move fast. And for us, the further into southern Maine you get, the more regulations and permitting codes, which really,
We're in Southern Maine.
I know. I'm fully aware. But it's a truth that, you know, we need to be able to move fast, and permitting is a big issue. So, you know, that's also something we tell people who apply to be on the show, you know, have your permits ready to go. It just helps things move along so there's no surprises at the last minute. And it's true, you know, you get up to some area where, you know, in your
9 mile.
unorganized territories and stuff like that, you know, there's a lot of planning that goes into it, but there's also a lot of restrictions in certain towns and areas.
Great.
Even like the logistics of Route 1. You know, whenever we do something on the coast of central Maine, we always do it first of the year, but yeah.
You
Well, you
two
know-
got to talk into a mic down there.
So, you know, so say we're doing one in Damascotta. We do in April, May. Come next week on Memorial Day, it can take it from our, you know, headquarters in Monmouth and Manchester. It's another half an hour, just that Route 1 traffic.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to get in and out of there. Like you take that into consideration too.
Yeah, it's interesting because I expected you guys to answer like far off places,
Oh,
but it's actually
We love the
more
far-off places.
populated arered that are hard.
well, I mean, last
to
time we went to the Allagash and Starlink kind of changed everything. We were far away, but weren't so far away.
do. You add any-
That was fun working up at 9 Mile because it was just real secluded and northern Maine, and we had a great time.
And it brought you guys full circle. So they started in the Allagash 9 Mile. They did a pilot 10, 11 years ago now. 12. And worked on a whole like trapper's cabin. And long story short, it was kind of like a lot of like, it wasn't going to work out for a TV show. So then they were like, just hold on, we're going to find a different one. So that's how Maine Cabin Masters kind of came to be.
Oh, cool.
But then we just went back last season and actually fixed the cabin that they stayed in, which was our Uncle Bruce's. So we did that. Yeah, it was great.
That was the best part.
But we all, you know, we born and raised, grew up in Maine. Like, we love doing that stuff. You know, we love getting out. We're working in beautiful locations. So working on remote cabins it's ideal.
With our dogs.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds pretty awesome. So I'm going to quote you back to you. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. What's your take on why this is the prevailing culture in Maine?
Well, I can't take credit for that quote.
Yeah, I mean,
I heard it from a carpenter out on Peaks Island.
oh, very cool.
We were out there visiting, and
Island.
that's right. And, you know, she came up, we started talking, and she's like, you know, this is what we live by out here. I'm like, this is what we live by everywhere. And it just stuck with me. And yeah, what was the question?
Why do you think it's the prevailing culture in Maine? Any of you?
It's just the main way of
I was gonna say, I think it's always been here. I mean, Yankee ingenuity.
Say that.
We-
It's like you're being like-
Us Yanks are very, you know, we make do with what we have, whether we have to, you know, find it, make it, or, you know, dream it up.
Yeah, when we were little, you know, my grandparents had a camp on Clearwater, and they would have us, all of the grandkids, you know, 3, 4, 5 years old, sitting there hammering, straightening out nails.
You still make me do that.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
yesterday.
But that, you know, we'd straighten them out, and then they'd go up and they'd use them. So it just grew up with it.
I love it.
So yesterday, your sister and I are going to dinner in Augusta. So we live in West Garden. You take a left and you go the back way. I go to the left. She goes, which way? I go left, left. She takes a right. And we go into Gardner. And I'm like, what are you? And she's looking around. I'm like, what are you doing? And she goes, it's trash pickup
it's
in
big
Gardner.
trash.
And you got to look at those piles and see what you can get.
Absolutely.
And you've got, I mean, there's many times when Ashley will show up at the house and say, I got some stuff off the side of my truck, or Chase will find stuff that we use in, you know, in cabins and stuff.
I remember this one when we did Rob and Candy's camp out in I think it was Sullivan. Anyways, I was driving, you know, we were staying, and I was driving up Route 1, and I was coming into Ellsworth, and there was a pile of free stuff on the side of the road. I stopped, and there were 2 beautiful wooden doors, threw them in the truck, and they immediately went up to the camp and went right into it. But they were beautiful doors, and the nice thing about, you know, you can cut them down, make them fit when the camps aren't perfectly square, stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
we get
So next time someone takes your trash, it might be one of the Maine Cabin Masters.
No, kitchen sinks. You guys got any kitchen sinks? He's your man.
Okay, so I'm going to go to our submitted reader question. So these are folks that either couldn't make it tonight or wanted us to ask a question before the mic went around. So the first one was actually about the trades, which you guys did a great job answering. How do you complete the renovations at such a low cost? I think we just heard some of it, but any other?
That question was phrased in a new way.
Yeah, I mean, the budget question always comes up. And we always say what you see on the show is what the camp owner puts into the project. And again, there's many different ways that we save money. We keep the budgets low, and it all kind of adds up. And, you know, there are savings, reusing stuff, you know, pulling stuff out of my barn, stuff from other camps. You know, when we get donations of lumber from like Robbins Lumber, you know, any savings we get, we pass on to the camp owner, because, you know, it's win-win-win. They get a better product. It makes a better episode. It keeps us going. Yeah.
Robbins Lumber literally showed up with a trailer truck, a year ago? They started putting pallets of random stuff on, because they knew it would go to help people in Maine. And they brought us a whole trailer truck. And it literally took 6 months, and they were all in the cabins. It was pretty amazing.
And our like community builds, they always are the first to, like, you know, if we reach out to, like, here you go. So yeah.
And not having camp owners on site saves a lot.
Huge.
That might be the quote of the night.
Biggie.
He's talking to you, Ryan.
No, but, you know, on the show, you see that you know, we meet with camp owners, we arrive in some fun way, and then we discuss what they're looking for. We talk before the show, you know, figure it out, come up with a reasonable budget, and then they truly hand us the keys and let us get where we need to be, what they're looking for as much as possible, how it makes the most sense with what we're working with.
There's no change orders, right? When they're not allowed to do them. And change orders cost money.
Yes.
But also when you're there and looking at it, like, it's tough to make decisions. Like, I've worked with a lot of, like, you know, people, clients or whatever. They can't make that decision. They're wishy-washy. So if someone makes it for you and you go in and see the big picture, you're not looking at the color of this or that. You're like, wow, this is amazing. So it just kind of works.
People trust you.
Yeah.
I will say, just because you brought up showing up in your fun ways you show up, I was watching the Spruce Mountain episode today when Ashley was on the dirt bike.
She was on the biggest
I
dirt
felt
bike.
for you, because that would have been.
No, hold on. And what they didn't show, because I got really mad because it was a new, I hope that the producers didn't see this, but it was a new producer and he didn't know what he was doing. And Chase just goes, just follow me. And I was like, whatever. And we went up that off trail, tell them.
Yes.
And then,
It's not that
they
steep.
didn't know how to run their cameras and they didn't even get it on camera. Tell them.
And it was a massive dirt bike for you to be on. Like,
And they couldn't use the footage because a lot of
lot of
bad
swearing.
language on there.
It was fun though.
It looked fun for you two. I was a little worried on her behalf.
Do you have spruce connections?
No, I was just watching the episodes this morning, making sure I had good questions. And I was like, feeling your pain.
Thank you.
I was like, I would not have been able.
Brian just bought a dirt bike on Temu or whatever. It came in a box, literally came in a
Electric
box
dirt
to
bike.
my front door.
A little different.
This big, and it's perfect.
It's to run the dog.
It's not a 450 two-stroke.
Greatest part of that was when you couldn't figure out how to get the helmet off. Anyway, sorry, everyone go watch that episode. Okay, next reader question. How do you maintain work-life balance?
The work-life balance.
Have we figured it out?
Do you guys know what I'm talking
They
about?
figured it. They figured it out in Italy, right? We saw how they do it in Italy.
That's a good question.
My wife says I don't have it figured out. So what? In the last couple of years, I stopped looking at my emails on the weekend. As you get older, like you do realize mental health gets important. Like we worked really hard, before that we knew we were gonna get another season. And I think lately we've all tried to like step back a little bit and enjoy ourselves too, because time does fly by. Time's been flying by. So
Yeah, 13 seasons, right? You're about to hit 13.
On vacation?
Yeah, I just came back from Yellowstone.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well done.
we travel a lot, and we
Yeah, family helps. Having kids helps keep everything grounded. Nothing like teenage girls to really
You.
put you in your place. Yeah.
we'll take your word for it.
We know.
What is the criteria for picking cabins, and has it changed since the beginning of your business?
Yes. So season 1, we didn't know what we were doing. I mean,
No clue.
we knew the construction side of things. That was fine. The TV side of things, we had to, beg and plead, be like, hey, we want to fix up your camp. Give us the money, give us the keys, but you can't. You can't be there, and we're going to film the whole process.
It's amazing we got 9 people to do that, and then
It is.
then they made their mother buy a camp.
Yeah, thank God your mom bought one.
Yeah. So, we
Help these kids out.
we were doing whatever we could, trying to make it work. Season 1 was, it was insane. It was so much work, and we didn't know, if it was going to make it. We didn't really know anything. And then it just, over the years, once people started seeing the show, we kind of built up that trust, and people say, oh, we could see what you do. So, now we have a website where there's an application where people can fill that out. We go through those in, early February, March, and we're able to kind of group camps now. We look at, areas just always kind of happen, say, okay, we're going to focus on this area this year. And so we'll look at camps, and probably, I'd say 1 in 50 actually, maybe not that many, maybe 1 in 25 will make the cut. And, it's got to have a good transformation. It's got to be a reasonable amount of work. And, I'd like to think we've gotten more efficient, just, purchasing materials and everything. Again, it's all about having the team and the support to be able to go to these different areas and make it all work.
But a lot of it's logistics too.
And
Like
scope of work.
Yes.
we try to put them in clusters because it costs money to travel to job sites, and so a lot of times we'll do them like going out 27 towards Sugarloaf. We'll do a bunch that way, or going towards Bridgeton, or down east, or going to Greenville. So it's always been find someone in a cluster and then go from there.
Makes great sense. What motivates you to keep doing this?
We're still having fun.
I love building. I love working with my hands, and that was the nice thing about, it's easy to get caught up. You talk about running a construction business. It's easy to get caught up in all the details. But, the nice thing about Italy was we were there. We were there. We were with family, and we just had to work. We had to make it work. We had to get it done. So it was great to just get back into that. And it, you know, again, I love working on cabins. So.
But it doesn't feel like work when, like, especially in Italy, when you're with a family, and it doesn't feel like work. Well, I mean, it does. I'm not gonna lie. But, but we are working, beside these gorgeous, like, lakes, mountains, whatever, with our dogs, our family, our best friends. So extremely grateful for this, just life plan that has just kind of happened to us.
When you do something you love, it's not really work.
Yeah.
Plus it's demo day, right?
Right.
But it's grown, it's helped us afford, given us a lot of other opportunities out of the business and stuff. And I think I speak for all of us, but we do love just going back to those simple camps, you know, and like what it started from, you know, and I don't know, that's like, as our businesses grow, you don't swing your hammer as much. So it's nice to get to go back and do that and focus on that.
Yeah.
Because it does drive all our other businesses.
Well, I feel like, we like traveling around and visiting other states, you take for granted the fact that we all either have a camp or have friends or family that has a camp, and there's so many lakes in Maine. I never realized until I got older and started traveling that like not everybody has this lake life that we have. And so you just grow more and more just very like grateful. And so when you're helping these families, you know, fix up their camps so that they can just continue to go there and not have to worry about fixing them. They can just go outside and enjoy it.
Joy?
When this all started, we were all working on a project together, a timber frame in Wayne.
She just
And-
came into KCC the other day
Oh,
and
nice.
she wanted, yeah, she was so excited.
Right. And you know,
Pam.
so we've been working together for 10 plus years now, and you know, it's great. And when we all get together, you know, it's not as often when we're all on one project, but just how we all fall back into that rhythm, and things just flow so nicely, and you know, it just stuff gets done, and it's great. It's a great feeling. It's to be productive, and it's also great, you know, talking about getting kids involved in the trade. It's good for these younger kids to see how, you know, how to work as a team, how to communicate, how to get things done. And again, with, you know, using your hands and building stuff, it's, you know, that's why I love it.
Great answer. I have a silly question. How hard is it to swap to like cabin instead of camp?
Oh, it's so hard.
It's,
Oh,
we
you
like
know
to
what I'm saying
call
with
it
the cabin, right?
a camp pottage.
Yeah.
Why?
Just because nobody in a camp,
A ca-
and y'all
yeah,
know this,
It's like a
What?
camp,
a
a
camp,
cottage,
No,
or a cabin.
a camp to everybody else, well, a lot of people in the rest of the country, is like a place where you go set up a tent. And we've had so many people come up and like, we don't get it. So the production company said, because of this, we have to say cabin. We're like, well, no, we would never say cabin. I mean, maybe like a log cabin, like a cabin in the woods. I don't know, right?
They put Maine Camp Masters just doesn't have that ring.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
But I feel like if you're from Maine, there's like a cottage is on the ocean. Camp is maybe on a lake, and a cabin is up in northern Maine.
Yeah, cabin's like tiny,
Not sophisticated.
right?
That was a great explanation. How often
the
are the
main thing.
producers like, you guys got to say it again because you just said camp?
They've given up. Yeah.
The power of editing.
We're talking about producers.
Just dubbing someone else
that-
and saying cabin.
They wanted to rent a bunch of industrial fans to get rid of the black flies. What else?
Snowmaking.
Oh,
They call it Sugarloaf and have them bring snow guns down.
Yeah, they wanted snowmaking.
One time we're out in the middle of Clearwater Lake in the middle of a storm, and like they first gave up on life. Can you call your friends and like have someone come pick us up? I'm like, she wants to call somebody that has to get out of work, go hook onto a snowmobile. They just had no clue. You know, it was innocent, but it's Hollywood. So one thing is like, first couple of years, they'd go ask the guy, log in. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm French Canadian. I talk with my hands. Sorry about that. Okay. When we first started, they would want to go and ask the guy next door to stop using his chainsaw or stop mowing his lawn. And
was like, no, do not tell
Right,
him
Mike.
to stop. I was like, I will just say answer the questions every time he's like taking a break. So this interview took an hour, I think, but it was like, "Brrr." Okay, so today I'm a da-da-da." It was like, "Brr." So anyway, I was like, do not send somebody over there to stop this guy down. Because at the end of the day, we live here, we love this place, and we want to be respectful, and we want to be treated the same way that we, it's equal, like respect us and we'll respect, you know.
They
Sorry,
don't
that was said wrong, but
Oh, it makes sense. One more silly question. Do you guys have tricks, or how do you deal with all the mosquitoes and ticks, let alone black flies? Is there a solution for that?
Well, we went to the Allagash.
Wish there
She
was.
spent about $1,000 on Amazon on every trick you could get. She had the fake dragonflies that clipped your hat. She had a bug suit. She had stickers. She had these balls that hung on the tree.
None of it worked.
Did any of it work?
No.
and I go out in the woods every day
Okay.
with the dogs and flick the tick. I went out a bunch of days without it. It's just like a natural spray. I did it and I came home with only 1 tick instead of 8. So
Go flick the
Still had a
tick.
tick.
Starting smudges, if the weather permits, always helps.
The old timers smoke cigars,
Yeah, yeah,
but they won't show that on the show. People smoke cigarettes.
yeah. But the cameramen, the production team, they're all out there right with us. And you can see in some episodes where it's right in the thick of black fly season, and the lens, you can just see them crawling along the
Yeah.
lens. It's
for real.
yeah, it can be brutal, but just push through it.
But we all deal with it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, last question before we'll get to the reader questions. What would each of you say your favorite project is, or one that sticks out to you as like meaningful? And you can't all say the same one, so whoever gets to go first.
I would say definitely the project that we did for my grandmother and my aunt and uncle. That definitely meant a lot to me.
Well, the first one, but I always love Bunganuck.
I always go back to Bunganuck too. That was like really, I think, when we got our groove.
And that was the one in Brunswick that had the no nuke sign.
Oh
And
yeah.
it used to be a clam processing plant. And these guys will tell you it had like how much concrete? But that was like in the beginning of our like whatever. And it was the first like major transformation. I mean, the others were great, but that one was just like so much work, but also like we kind of realized that we're actually on a TV show at that point, I think. Right?
I also do wonder if they still have the wine bottle thing that sticks in the river. Like, I want to know if they're still using it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tide probably took that on like some of our ladders.
Okay, Ryan, you got to say a different one.
I love There's so many of them, that I love. But the cabin that Ash and I got is a really special place. We spend so much time out there, and the fact of the matter is, like, I never 10 years ago would have wanted off grid. I never even. I grew up on Cubs. I never looked at that camp. Being on the show and seeing the beauty of like the simplicity of that, and like it's been good for us. We really love it.
It's awesome.
I like to be able now to take on community projects. When we first started out, there was a recipe and we had to stick right to it. It had to be a cabin, it had to be on water, and it had to have a transformation of X, Y, and Z. And as we progressed, and became more popular, the network gave us more flexibility. So we were able to take on a little different projects. So we were able to do a project with Travis Mills. We were able to do Spruce Mountain. We did a project with Center for Entrepreneurial Studies in Farmington, building a tiny home for unhoused teenagers.
Maine Outdoor
Maine-
Captive.
We did a project with the Monmouth Fire Station. So we're extremely fortunate. None of us ever expected to be where we are right now. And we wouldn't be here without, the community and everything. So to be able to give back is, important to us.
Awesome. Thanks. Megan. We're going to pass a mic around, but I can't see my mic passing around
Lights.
person.
We are going to try and get back to Italy every chance we get. My daughter and mother were there in October for the olive harvest. So they were able to harvest the olives from our trees, take it to the press it, and get it shipped over here. It's taken a while in transit, but it finally has arrived. So our goal is to get back there and keep going.
If you could all email the production company and Magnolia Network and tell them you want us back there, that would be great.
I'm just gonna get down and start walking because I can't see her and there's a lot of hands up. I got this one. It's okay. Thank you. I'm gonna start here.
Oh, sure. I didn't know I was standing up. Do you prefer working on camps that you have like no idea who the person is, or if you're like connected to the camp?
What was the question?
Do we prefer working on camps we know
Like
the
if you're
people or?
connected to the camp like personally, or if you just have no idea who it is?
You know what I really like is when we work on camps where we don't know the people, but we make unexpected connections.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice.
Oh, it's true.
So, having been carpenters and done that for your entire lives, how often have you come across camps where you've gone to go do the work, but you realize it's a structural nightmare and go out of your way to contact other resources to really just get an assessment of
Why you guys
what are
looking
we
at
even going
me?
to do to make this place livable?
After you.
We've done, you know, again, with that recipe early on, you know, it had to fit the format. And so we've run into a few later seasons where, you know, we're looking at it and we're like, this, you know, because once you start pulling into it, you never know what you're going to find. And we have gotten into some that were just so far gone that we had to start over. We've also gotten into some that were so far gone, but you weren't allowed to start over. You should have,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and
But
like,
whether it's because of proximity to the water or, you know, sentimental value to the family, they didn't want that option. And that's kind of, I think that's also a niche where we've kind of filled in. A lot of these camps, they've had contractors come and say, tear it down and start fresh. And that's not an option. And that's, you know, it is. It's hard work. It's dirty work. And
but back to that question about, Maine, and I can't remember the question, but I have a point here.
That's the questions you can't remember.
No, there's a point here that, stop distracting me. That everybody in Maine, no, that these camps, have been in the families for so long that a lot of times when we get there, if they don't do anything, it will get to a point where it will be beyond repair. So by fixing it, like, we pretty it up for TV for sure, but a lot of times we're literally just jacketing, leveling, fixing the roof and getting, because the budget might be a certain,
We get to a point where they can go on with it.
yeah, exactly. So you'll see like it's framers finished. So they can go in and, later down the road and put, finish it up. So when you see the budget, that reflects directly on like the work that's done. But a lot of times we're just proud to be there and get it so that the families can still, for generations more, enjoy it. Whereas they might not have that opportunity if,
yeah, I would say it's a sliding scale.
Yeah.
You know, if we meet with these camp owners and they say, you know, we've got a budget, you know, it used to be when we started out, a $15,000 budget was doable. Those days are gone, unfortunately.
he's lying. He's like my dad. He has a big heart and he will say yes.
But, you know, somebody could come to us and again say, you know, we've got a $200,000 budget, or they could say we have a $30,000 budget, and it just changes the scope of work we do. And all of us, including, you know, all the carpenters, we have, you know, it's just a camp. It's just a camp. And that's so true that, again, you know, it's not about the building, it's about the space and using it and being able to make the memories with family, which we've all been fortunate to have growing up.
Hello. You are infamous, if not notorious, for not having blueprints. And on a side, there's not enough money in the world that you can pay your plumber.
Oh, that,
Shout out to Doug.
Shout out to Doug.
Hey,
Truly.
so real quick,
Mo-
you guys would be proud of Doug. In the last 4 or 5 months, we've been wicked busy. Doug now had a payroll of
son.
3 people. His son Zach's been helping him and his buddy Bruce. So Doug went from 1 person for 10 years to a 3-man crew. It's been awesome.
And again, getting his son into the trades, it's awesome.
Typically, the blueprints are written out on a napkin or a shingle, or sometimes it's just, scratch. I mean, the scope of the work is typically not that large. So, we may be doing an addition that's like 12 by 16 or something like that. So blueprints necessarily.
But what you don't see is that there's a lot of thought in it. Like we call it forensic demo because we got to take the camp away and see where you can. And like Chase's mind is always, I used to always think he was mad at us because he didn't say anything, but he's always just thinking.
Well, like Chase has already said, the camp will dictate what we can do to it.
But in the last couple of years, Chase, I was doing some SketchUp stuff. That was fancy. After a cocktail napkin. And, if you guys have seen after the pandemic and we got bigger budgets and we started filming through the winter, some of those do have plans, the bigger ones. So, but we do like the ones without plans still.
Wing it.
Wing it.
What differences did you find working construction in Italy as compared to working in the United States?
The biggest difference was Italy's all about stone and concrete and rock, whereas here we're all about wood. That was a big game changer, but also the not work ethic, but what would you call it?
Yeah, La Dolce Vita. Right?
Yeah. Where the Italians would work in the morning and then take a 2-hour lunch break and have a full 3-course meal, have wine, and then go back to work. And it's like, whew.
Yeah. We did get used to it.
Where we're used to just eating a sandwich on the tailgate of a truck and just jumping right back in. One isn't more productive than the other. It's just different paces. And yeah, it was tough slowing down and embracing that, but it was also fun.
And the thing that stuck out to me is that when you're working over there, it's all, stones and mortars and mixes. So first thing you need is water. And the last thing you really need is power there. And like it's opposite here. The first thing we want is power to plug in all our tools and stuff. And the last thing we really turn on is the water. So to me, that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and another quick story, this was a family effort. Like my kids were 100% involved, every part of it. And, my son was 12 or 13 when he started, when we did this project in Italy. And, he didn't know any Italian. And he's working, and our contractor's grandfather, expert mason, was there, didn't speak a lick of English. And, they started working together. And by the end of it, my son, Fletcher, became a pretty good mason tender, and they could communicate, the grandfather and Fletcher. He would mix up the mortar, bring it up to him. If it was too dry, he'd bring it back down, add a little more water, but they had a system going, and it was just awesome to see, that relationship build and how you can communicate without knowing the language and, still get stuff done. So that was a fun part of it.
Hi, guys. I'm glad to see you all. I know you started at Sugarloaf. See how far you've come. So I've heard that your show, you're on the Magnolia Network, and I've heard your show is more popular than Chip and Joanna Gaines' show.
No. I don't know where you hear this info, but
I kind of think you're more authentic because you're from Maine, but I want to know how do they treat you?
that we have met them and
Wonderful.
Yes, they are. No. They are amazing. Chip is exactly like you see on TV. He's just like this wild, crazy sort of guy. Yeah, no, we're extremely grateful. We didn't start out on the Magnolia Network. We started out on DIY. And then, we pretty much don't know where we go. We are just like riding the wave. And, they've been, this actually, Chase will tell the story.
So the first time we met him, we did a Zoom, and we were a little nervous. I was Chip and I'm on there on everything. Oh, Chip it. That's why I like the mic that sits right here. So the first time we met him, we did a Zoom, And it was awesome. We started talking, and by the end of it, the banter was going good. And we come to find out, they're like, well, we don't have TV in our house, but the kids go over to their grandparents' house, and they always come back, and they love the show Maine Cabin Masters. So their kids are pretty much the reason, like, we got on their radar. So here's to their kids.
Yeah.
Chase, did you actually keep the ponies that Lance gave you at the end of season 2? And do you still have them or had them?
So, no. Yeah, he
Great
was
question.
asking about the horses that Lance gave to us when we finished the barn.
And the emus that we
Yes.
gave Lance.
So those horses were borrowed from a neighbor, but then my daughters ended up getting 2 horses of their own. So we did have horses, and we gave Lance 2 emus, and last we heard 6 emus now. Yeah, so his farm is growing.
3 kids, right?
Yep.
3 kids.
But the funny story that nobody knows is that when we went to the reveal, I went and picked up these adolescent emus. I thought they were going to be like this big. They were this big in Gus's dog kennel. I bring them over. One escapes. So we call all of the construction guys, the whole film crew, everybody. We are searching the woods for this other emu, but they're like
3 hours.
and they were like calling back and forth to each other because they like to be in pairs or whatever. Finally, it was time for because Lily had to go to work, Lance's wife, so we had to do the reveal. She knew nothing about this. She is the biggest bird lover ever.
She would have
We
been
didn't
mad at you
tell her.
guys.
When she saw only one emu, she was having the hardest time because she knows that they have to come in pairs. So she was trying not to cry on TV at the reveal when she found that.
It wasn't that.
She told me this. I tell you. Anyway, we found the other emu. They, on TV, it just looked like it was this tiny little cage, and we entered this back in the day. They have a pasture. I'm talking like cow pasture that they run around, and yeah, animal lovers, big, huge farm. So a bird is an animal, isn't it? No. Okay, sorry. Hi, Carmel.
I was following up to the Magnolia question. Have you all ever, hi, sorry. Have you all ever been approached to do sort of a collaboration with another show that's going on in Magnolia, or are you in Maine? And are you guys going to the Billy Strings concert?
Yeah.
We
Yes, on both.
did do a little thing with Mark Bowe with Barn Boards and More.
Yep. Barnwood Builders came to Maine, and we went down and met them on their show. So we were all about it. We're like, yeah, great. We'd love to. And then the production teams got involved, and it's a lot more complicated because then it's who's filming, who has rights, and a whole level of stuff we didn't even consider. So we've never been approached to work with Chip and Joe, but we have worked with Mark Bowe.
And Billy Strings did ask us to come down. Chase doesn't know this yet. Thank you. And do it now.
I was one of the people that didn't understand the 4-foot center, why the camp was falling down. Would you mind explaining it at least for me?
Yeah, so typically now standard building is 16 inches on center. So you have, whether it's your wall studs, your rafters, your joists, 16 inches on center. Back in the day, it was 2 foot on center. It was 19
3/16 HUD layout.
Dixie can explain it much better.
Sheet material is in 4x8 sections, so everything needs to be in an 8-foot layout. So you have 16 on center, you have 2 foot on center, or you can do a HUD layout, which is 19, your studs. So all your studs lay for a 4x8 sheet good.
This helping?
It's all construction math. It's
So-
all construction math.
But a lot of, well, no, real fast, we go into these camps, and a lot of these camps were built with,
No layout.
no layout, random kind of what you had. but they also used a lot of material that was around, whether it was cedar logs, whether it's eastern white pine. And, the nice thing about that is we go in and we use a ton of eastern white pine that is produced, right around here, Robbins, Hammonds, Hancock, all over the state. And, again, we'll open up these camps and everything isn't on a perfect 16-inch layout for 4x8 sheet. So the great thing about that is, we can cut it to size and not have as much waste. Slap on the pine, and we use it for everything. And that, Eastern white pine is kind of the savior of the show because it also helps keep the cost down. We can buy it by the units, and we'll use it for everything, whether it's the floor sheathing, the roof sheathing, the wall trim, the wall finishes. We'll rip down pieces and use that for corners, 3/4 by 3/4 corners, and all leftover pieces, we'll use it for, to make a table or something like that. And anything left from that point, we'll use it for kindling for wood fire, for fires. So
And then Doug the plumber takes it home and makes picnic tables for chipmunks.
Birdhouses.
Just saying.
But nothing,
remains.
and it goes back to that Maine, the thriftiness of Maine, nothing goes to waste. And again, I think that's what's helped get us where we are.
Hi, this is so fun. I'm wondering whether or not you ever think about any dream projects that you'd like to do that are sort of a departure from the typical format of Maine Cabin Masters. What comes to my mind is that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of wonderful historic sporting camps in Maine. And I've wondered if you've ever thought about offering your services to some of them.
Dixie has.
I have a home in Rangeley, Maine, and I absolutely love the sporting camp industry in the state. It's been around since before the 1900s. I'm very close with the Philbrick family that own Bald Mountain Camps on Moose Lake, McGuntick. They are a 4th generation owned family camp. Yes, that is very important to our state. There are so many sporting camps that have been closing down. Yes.
Have you applied?
No, because a lot of them are becoming privatized. So like, okay, for instance, Bozebuck camps up top of Parmacini, those have become privatized. T Pond up in Stratton Eustis, those have become privatized. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of our sporting camp heritage within the state to private companies. So it's nice to see, yes, some sporting camps. I've done some work in at Forest Lodge, which was Louise Dickinson Rich's estate. But there's like Lakewood camps are still, that has become privatized. So it's just a shame that we're losing a lot of those sporting camps. They become private.
But as as a private home.
No, not all of them are private, like Bald Mountain still.
Yeah.
Yes, people buy it for.
You should be sitting out there if you're asking questions.
So yes, we have definitely looked at a lot of sporting camps over the years, and it's very important to help preserve and keep the history of Maine going with the sporting camps.
We want to do a lighthouse, right? That'd be cool. We've always
That
thought
would be
about
cool,
that.
too.
So if you got a lighthouse, put it in.
Yeah, we do a lot with summer camps,
Camps, definitely.
we did Agassiz down in, where?
Poland.
Poland area.
Pine Tree.
We've done a lot with the YMCA, state YMCA camps.
YMCA.
Pine Tree
That's
Camp.
near and dear to our heart, so.
Yep.
We're down.
Yep, Pine
We're
Tree.
down in Stoneham, Maine now, right?
Yep, it's Stoneham, Camp Susan. Yep.
We have time for one more question, then I'm going to give this back to Carolyn.
Well, first, we love you. Maine proud. Keep on being authentic. Very much. After all these years, is there one particular lake or place that you haven't been to yet that's sort of on your punch list or wish list?
There's probably hundreds of them we haven't been to. Right?
Yeah, if not thousands. So when we originally did that very first pilot, it was, it was up north on the St. John. And I mean, we were up there and they took some of that footage, and in the very early beginnings of the show, the deep in the North Maine woods. And, we were out in Augusta, like.
Augusta can be scary.
Yeah. Which, I mean, there are some areas that are pretty wild, but, so, everybody was like, well, have you been to the county? Have you been to the county? Have you been to the county? And we're like, we did that one project. But going back up there, 9 Mile, again, bring it all full circle, we're able to make it up to the county. And I think at this point, we've hit every county in the state. We've done close to 200 episodes. I don't know the exact count, but I think we've hit every county in the state. Probably.
AI will tell us.
Hey, all right. That's close to 200.
Next year will be a 200.
Okay, I saved one last reader question for last. I got this. I don't have a name, but I could get one. Would Dixie be interested in going on a casual date? Let me know.
He gets a lot of those questions.
Let me know if you want me to find out who said that in.
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for making it blush, though. That's always good.
Thank you guys so much for being good sports and being with
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And thank you for watching.
New season.
New season.
May 25th.
May 25th.
May 25th, new season, and then in the works.
Yeah.
Chase, Sarah.
New
Sarah, where are you?
Yeah. No, new season coming right up, May 25th. And then there's a special side project. My wife and I bought a bed and breakfast in Monmouth, Maine that we're in the process of renovating. And that's going to air sometime this summer as well. So thank you all for watching.
Thank
We wouldn't
you.
be here without you.
Thank you, folks, very much.
Thank you.